Okay, so moving on to our section 4 and our third region of the brain, and we're going to talk about the brainstem. So the brainstem is going to consist of the midbrain, our pons, and the medulla oblongata. So again, we already talked about the three regions. In general, collectively, the brainstem is going to help control autonomic behaviors that are necessary for our survival. And then again, a reference for you because you will have to identify the location of these in lab. Okay, so let's start with the midbrain. If we're talking about the midbrain, it's really just going to be for a visual reflex center. So motor movement of the eye. It also is going to act as an auditory relay center. Again, I don't want you to get caught up in a lot of the details that your textbook gives you. Pons, so if we're talking about the pons location-wise, this is kind of wedged between our midbrain and the medulla oblongata. And functions are really to help control our respiratory rate and the depth of our breath. The medulla oblongata is a little bit unique because it's not acting as one whole unit that functions to control one specific thing. Instead, we have different centers. So we have a cardiovascular center, a respiratory center, and we have some other centers. Each of these centers are going to go on to help regulate different things. So if we're talking about the cardiovascular center within the medulla oblongata, this is going to help adjust the force and the rate of heart contraction in order to keep up with our body's needs. So how does it do this? Basically, it can change our blood vessel diameter. If we dilate our blood vessels, we can lower our blood pressure. If we constrict our blood vessels, we increase our blood pressure. So we can regulate our blood pressure and the contraction rate and force of our heart with this center inside of our medulla oblongata. The second center is our respiratory center. And if we're talking about respiratory center function, it's to help generate the respiratory rhythm. So basically our breathing rate. And it's going to help control the depth of our breathing as well. And then we have various other centers, which you don't need to know specifically, but they also help regulate things like vomiting, hiccuping, swallowing, coughing, sneezing,